Bridge fans, thank you for staying tuned. You're still on to Dexter's Bridge Show. I was speaking with Mr. Chris Emod, the GMD of Dominion Pearl Group, and his story is getting very interesting.
After some days, I was called to come to the office. Then I came. Unknowingly, I was also shocked to see a second person.
Okay.
And I said within me, it was one vacancy that was advertised for. Why are we now two? I sat down. They called the other guy, they spoke with the guy came out, he was happy and he left. And for 5-10 minutes, nobody said anything to me. Nobody said anything to me. Then later on, one of them called me, said I should follow him. And we walked into the office of the CEO of the place.
Wow.
And immediately we walked into the office.
They have saved the best for last. This is getting very interesting now.
Immediately we walked into his office. I had seen this face in my dream. So I was stuck. I was looking at the man. So I was so focused on him. I was looking at him. And he was wondering, why are you looking at me?
Did you tell him you saw him in your dream?
No, I didn't.
He would have said, who's this spooky guy?
I didn't. So they now opened up. He said they interviewed me about that. They did the interview. The panel told him I was exceptionally good. And that although they didn't plan to run a real estate firm now, like something they want to do in 3 months, 4 months time, but since they've seen a good hand that could start it up, that why not? That they decided to take me. That the other guy was to handle the position that was advertised.
That was initially advertised for.
So that they decided I should resume work the next day.
And you had no requisite qualification by the books.
By the books, yeah.
But it was beyond what you had on paper.
Yeah.
It was what you had in your soul. It's always beyond what's on paper. It's good to have all the education in the world and all the certificates. But beyond that, what can you do? And I have never, in my years of doing business and employing people, never employed anybody because of what they had on the paper. It was always because of what they could do. What can you do? Young man, young lady, what can you do? So now you have to pioneer a real estate firm.
A real estate firm. In fact, I went for a 2 months training. And when I came back, that was my first experience in the real estate sector, 2014, July. We started. And it did so well. In fact, I enjoyed every bit of it. All through my stay with them there, I enjoyed so much honor, so much blessings while I was with them there. Lest I forget, immediately I got into the office the first day. I just sat on my chair to thank God for the office. The Holy Spirit told me, said, you just have 4 years to stay here. I said, 4 years.
I mean, your life was just about getting on a good ride and they were giving you time.
I said, 4 years.
But the Holy Spirit is actually very amazing.
I've not even started work. You're giving me time frame. I just smiled over it and we started. And I enjoyed all through that 4 years. It was 4 years that God actually used to prepare me for where I am today. Because I had the privilege of meeting a number of prominent people that on a normal, I would not have met with them because of the person I worked with. Immediately, when it got to exactly 4 years, I was in my office. The Holy Spirit came back. Again. And then,
very accurate in his timing. He never slacks, never forgets.
He said, boy, it's time to go.
And Mr. Chris, there's something the Holy Spirit told me a couple of months ago. It says that God is our eternal source, and He usually brings channels into our lives. And those channels are usually seasonal. So what God does is that when the season for one channel is over, He shuts the channel down. But what we do as believers is that we start being desperate and sulking and being bitter and throwing
most especially if you're enjoying a lot of honor and blessings.
So instead of looking up to the eternal source, we start be crying the channel that is now closed, because God knows that He is supposed to be the eternal source. So if you leave one channel to last for too long, you now become fixated on the channel and you lose the fact that it's the source that's more important on the channel.
Not the channel, yes.
And God is good at shutting down channels.
Very good at that.
So you must know when the time for each door is over. When it closes down, just look up to Jesus. He says He's the author and He's the finisher
of our faith.
Of your faith.
Yeah.
So the Holy Spirit came and you protested, did you?
I didn't, because I have actually trained myself to get to my yielding point with the Spirit. There's actually nothing that the Holy Spirit requires of me now that I can't give.
Of course.
Nothing. I told my wife that it was time to go.
And did he call you crazy? Did she call you crazy?
Obviously she did. In fact, she talked to one of my friends to talk to me.
So my husband is losing it.
This
my husband has gone mad again.
And owing to the fact that, because I was actually not living there for another place, I was living there to start up mine again. And remember, a few years back, we just came back from a business breakdown, a business loss that failed.
My husband has gone mad again.
He called my friends, they talked, the first one talked, said, okay, let's see how you could run both of them side by side. When your own stand, you can now resign. I told him, I said, sir, no.
It's called the Hagar alternative.
Exactly,
yes.
Yeah. I told him no.
Sarah told Hagar, Abraham, we can't have a baby. Let's get Hagar.
I told him no, sir. I knew what I heard. That I can't stay there anymore. My wife didn't relent. She went to my bosom friend that day, said, come and talk to your friend, or he has started again. And that, I will never forget that day. We all sat down in his sitting room. We talked about it. I told him I cannot stay. That there is no point staying when my time there is off. That it's always good to leave the stage when the ovation is high. It's
Come
always
on.
good. And he saw reasons with me and he said, okay.
Guys, please don't go quitting jobs. This is not a motivational session. Yeah. We're talking about spirit-led seasons here. If you don't hear the spirits, be careful. Don't go quitting. This is not a template to quitting jobs.
Of course.
You can see that this guy's life is a classic of people who are led by the Spirit. It says that the Spirit of God is like the wind. Those who are led by the Spirit are like wind. You can hear it blow, but you don't know where it's coming from and where it's going to. You can't predict men who are led by the Spirit. Right?
Sure, you can't.
Yeah. So your boss, the CEO of this firm,
yeah.
How did he take the resignation?
Now, I wrote him a letter. After I finished up with my friend, I got back to the office the next day. As the normal procedure, you need to give the office 1 month notice if you need to go. So I wrote him a letter of resignation. I took it to him myself. And he saw it. He just put it in my file. He didn't say anything. He kept me quiet. 1 month, a day to the day I was to leave, I went to his office. I said, sir, I gave you a letter and I didn't get a response from you. He said, really? He said, okay. He brought out my file, brought out the letter, and tore the letter in my presence.
Wow.
I was looking at him. He said that there are staffs that want to resign. You hurriedly let them go.
Let them go with their trouble. Good riddance.
Good riddance, yeah. And there are those that want to resign. You don't let them go. He said to me, he said, we've worked so much close together that I can't let you go, but I still cannot keep you. Right there and then, he prepared himself. He brought out another letter and gave to me, a letter of a consultant to the organization.
To his firm. Nobody lets an asset go. Nobody lets, oh God. It's getting very crazy in the studio. Nobody lets an asset go. If you're a young man seeing this show, you must put your life together. Don't be a placeholder. It's been very rife in a political lingo recently. Don't be a placeholder. Don't just be a staff in an office. You have to be a stakeholder, an asset. Nobody lets an asset go. So you had removed from being a staff to being a consultant because they had to have a part of the genius you were bringing to the table.
Till today, I'm still a consultant with them, till date. While he gave me that letter, I left the office. The next few minutes, the next day, the wife came. The wife was angry with me. Said, Chris, if you're having problem with your boss, why didn't you tell me? I said, Mommy, no, I'm not having problems with my boss. I just need to move forward to the next phase. And that was how the family let me go. And believe you me, the relationship we had is still intact even till date. Now, while I was with them, we're doing some transactions, and usually when we get our commissions, instead of me collecting commission for any property we buy as the admin head, I usually ask for land in exchange for
Wait,
funds.
Mr. Chris. Who gave you the kind of sense, the kind of wisdom that has guided your life? Where did you pick this? Where did you pick it from? Look through your antecedents. Who would you say was the person that laid the foundation for the kind of life that we now hear that you lived?
Number one of them is the Holy Ghost. He has taught me a lot.
Apparently.
I read. Then number two is my first boss I ever worked with. I keep telling people that you can't
What's
write...
the name? Can you mention them on this show?
Sure. I keep telling you that I can't write my story, my business story, without making reference to him. And that is the person of Deacon Moses Mwaise.
Of the Reliance Global
Economic Advancement Limited, the CEO.
I'll bring him to the show.
The things I read in business, I study a lot. Presently, I have a library in my 2 offices in Asaba and Onitsha. So while I was with them, when we go to acquire new estates, as those that are part of it, we are expected to earn commissions from every payment.
But you told them to pay
but
you
instead of giving
land,
me cash, let me have landed properties, not with money.
With land, not with money. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere. You want to hear the best part of this story. Thank you guys for staying tuned. We're still on to Dexter's Bridge Show, and we're speaking with Mr. Chris Emma, the GMD of the Dominion Pearl Group. At this point, he had taken the second crazy decision. Your wife must be a very strong woman. And marrying, all of you want to marry a strong man, a man of vision. Can you deal with what follows? The madness, the topsy-turvy that follows a man of vision. Because it's like we're always high on what we can't say. Because this minute something is going on fine. The next minute, that thing I tell you to say is leave, move. Go and ask my wife what it means to marry people like us. So he was starting a new real estate firm.
Yeah.
What was the first move?
Now, I needed to start a new firm. Like I said a while ago, where I was working previously, instead of collecting money, I was collecting land.
Parcels of land.
Parcels of land. So before I left, I had close to about 10 plots of land with me. So, starting up, and while I was
with your 10 plots of land.
Yeah, while I
this
was
is the good part to be a motivational speaker. I started up my real estate firm with 2.5 plots of land. Okay, this is 10 now.
While I was with my first boss, I saw him dare certain things.
Mr. Mwise now?
Mr. Mwise, yes. I remember there was a time we had some challenges. He said, Chris, this car has to go now. This one has to go. We need to put this into things.
So he was selling his car.
If he's to sell his car, if he wants to venture into any business, the easiest way he raises capitals are the things he has around him.
And you can imagine what his wife will be saying. How do we do school run?
So
our husband has gone mad again.
So while I was with him, I got the heart of a lion. And
wow.
Previously, I've been privileged to pioneer 2 companies. So starting up wasn't a bit difficult for me because I already had the foundation. And
failing wasn't scary at this point anymore.
Failing wasn't scary.
Because you were good, you used to failing.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
Aside the art of succeeding, more important or almost as important is the art of failing. Yeah. There's an art to failing. They call it failing forward, but there's an art to failing. Learning to fail and not be out.
No, sir, I really want people to look for that book and read Failing Forward.
Yeah.
It's a book that actually helped me. It made me, one thing we need to understand about failure is that failure is only an event. All you need to do is pick the lessons from there and move on. If you had not failed, those lessons you wouldn't learn them.
My mentor calls it school fees. When you fail, just pay school fees.
Just pay school fees, yeah.
Yeah.
So I left, I sold 3 plots of land.
From the ones you
had? From the ones I had.
Mm.
I met with the family. Now, this is where relationship comes in. The family I met with that we acquired our first estate from City of David Estate. The family already in my previous company, they've sold plots of land to us. And I know the family has so much lands within that location. So I quickly cashed into the relationship I had with their representative, the first son. Called him, I said, I'm leaving, I want to start up my own. can I get some plot of land from you people? They said, why not? But the guy gave me a crazy condition. Said I should be, I was going to drop 10 million. And there is no way I could get the 10 million. So when I sold the plot of land, I was able to raise about 5 million. And I paid to them. Now, I needed to raise another 5 million to be able to sign the MOU with them.
What was the timeline that they gave you?
The timeline was pretty short. It was 2 months.
When was this happening? At what point?
It was at the point I had left my office. Now, immediately I finished. Now, because I had failed before, when I was about starting this particular one, I knew I wasn't going to start it the same way I started the former one.
Lessons learned. Lessons learned, yeah.
I separated myself for about 6 months to plan and prepare for this new office. Went to some trainings within and outside Asaba. Went to Lagos. Took out time to stay with God, most importantly. Took out real time to stay with God. And at that point, I was having some ideas. In fact, the organogram, a lot of the principles we are running with now in that office, I got it at this time I was staying with God.
God gave it to you.
He gave them to me.
And he's not the first person. God gives precepts. God gave Noah details of the ark. God gave David details of the temple. Solomon, the same thing. Like I said, you can believe in coconuts and balloons, believe in anything you want to believe. But if you believe in God, he is.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing in the Bible. God is.
The file is still in my office. The first file I used, still in my Onitsha office, in my drawer. He gave me details, even on how to deal with clients and realtors. Details, word for word. The first set of trainings I'm to organize for my realtors, the who and who I'm going to get involved with it. Every detail was given.
So you acquired the land from the family?
I acquired the land from the family. I paid them. Now I was
left
the
first down payment.
The first down payment
5 million.
of 5
you needed
million.
The balance before
I needed
you
the balance.
The MOU?
Now after paying them the 5 million, I didn't even have money to get an office.
Okay.
And you need an office to sell real estate. At that point, I made a list of prospective clients that I feel will buy from me. I started going to meet them one after the other. In fact, some days back, I was looking at the list. Up to today, none of them has bought. They are still telling me they will come to buy. But there was this magic loan I got. I'll call it a loan because he actually gave it to me as a loan. One of my aunties. I met her, I said, Auntie, this land we are selling for 650. I will sell it to you for 200.
Please, what year was this that you're selling land for 650? I want to know.
2012. No, sorry, 2021.
Okay, 2021,
yeah, that 2020, okay. 2021. I told her we're selling for 650. Can you get one? Just buy one so that I could do something. She said no, that she doesn't need land for anything. But that she sees the zeal in me. And she's going to give me a loan for me to pay back. That was in 2020. February, she gave me a loan of 200,000 naira.
2020?
2020.
February 2020?
2020, yeah. Because it was previous to the COVID year. Before COVID happened.
Wait. You were starting a real estate firm just before COVID happened?
Yes.
Now, I want to know.
So that 2020 February, she gave me that loan, 200,000. I used 40,000 naira from it to give to the graphics guy that I sat down with to design the logo of the company, then some of the paperwork. I was left with 160,000. Now, getting an office in Asaba was completely out of it. It
was expensive.
Because it's expensive. 160,000 can't get an office in Asaba. I said, okay, the best bet was to go to Onitsha. Remember I told us that God will always prepare you for where you're going.
Definitely.
If I hadn't gone to Onitsha with my boss then,
Mr. Winse the first time,
I wouldn't have known that getting office in Onitsha is cheaper. So I went back to Onitsha. Now, myself and the agent, we looked for office. He looked for office space. The offices we were seeing were very expensive. They would say 250, 300. And I didn't have up to that amount. That afternoon, I was with him in his office. He said, Chris, what do? We don't see no cheap office anywhere. He said, hold on. Would you mind sharing an office with somebody? That there is one beside me, just next to his office, is owned by a professor. He's not around. He traveled out of the country. He uses that place for he writes books. So he uses it there for his book, for students to come and pick his books and all that. Will I like to share an office space with the man? I said, not bad. He had the key to the place. He opened it. The place was a bit dusty. He said, let him call the man. He called the prof. He spoke with him. No, he called him the first time. The prof didn't pick. Then later on, the prof called him. And he told the prof. The prof said, do you know this young man? He said, I know him a bit. He can. The prof said, okay, no problem. Now, instead of me paying for 300 and something office rent, I had to share with him. I paid 60,000 naira. Because the rent then was 120. I paid him 60,000 naira. And I had 100K still left with me. Now, my office then, you know, most of us, we like big things. But for every big thing, there's always a small beginning.
Small beginning.
My office there wasn't up to 3 feet wide. It's just the table there. Then you need to push the table for you to sit down. I won't forget the day.
Did you consider jumping over the table?
Most likely. I won't forget the day my sister came to the office. She looked at me, looked at the reception. She got back home and she told my wife, I'm not sure bros will conclude any land deal in this kind of office. Considering the way the office was. I said, I'm not sure he can. And you know, real estate had to do with a lot of high-ticket transactions and a lot of packaging.
Luxury and facade. And you have to tell big stories.
Yes. I said, I'm not sure he can conclude a deal in this office. My wife didn't tell me up until we moved to our Sabah office. That was when he told me. Said she didn't want to discourage me then, but she just kept mute. So after we did that, I used the 60,000 I was left with the 100,000. I changed the furniture, the chairs were a bit shaky, had to make some adjustments and all that. And that was how we started. And at the end of that I concluded that by February ending, by first week of March, we started the office. 2 weeks into the office, COVID happened. And look at me here, have a loan to pay I have money to pay to the family, and a loan of 200,000 that I've promised that I will return within the shortest possible period of time.
And being a man of integrity,
you
had to keep your word. Now you were between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. I was there. In fact, that COVID period was something else. But something actually happened during the COVID. Coming back to relationships again. There was this young lady I met in 2014 in the office I was working previously. I helped her to acquire, she acquired two plots of land. She was based in Onitsha, then later on she relocated to the east. She sent me money to help her fence and gate the place, which I did. And she came back, she saw she was excited. Then in 2017, according to the brother that called, she gave the brother my number. The brother was telling her he needed to buy some landed properties, gave the brother my number. So during COVID, a foreign number called me. The first time I didn't pick. I was thinking maybe it's all these Yahoo guys. Second time, the third time I had to pick. The person introduced himself. He said, my sister gave me your number. I said, please, who is your sister? He said, Ifoma Okafo. I said, Ifoma Okafo.
And the name didn't ring a bell?
The name didn't ring a bell to me. So we started talking. He said he's interested in landed property. That was what I said, yes, sir, we have land. Where? Trust me, I began to market the estate and all that. Sent him the Google location. He looked at it. The next day he called me back. He said, can we do a video call in that location? I said, why not? I took a very big risk during the COVID.
During the
lockdown. I had to find my way to site.
But my police arrest me. I may hunger kill me.
I had to find my way to site.
It reminds me of the lepers in the Bible.
Sure.
Why sit we here till we die?
Till we die. While we were there, we did the video call. We came back. He said, okay, that he likes the place that he will want to buy. He said, please, for him first, let me know, who is this your sister? And he said, okay, I will send you her number. Now, the man asked me, how much are you selling? I told him we were selling for 800.
It was in 2020?
900, yeah. That was in 2020, yeah. He said, wouldn't you sell for me for 650? I said, no, sir, we can't sell for 650. It's not going to make things easy for us. The man said, sell for me for 650, I'll take 5 plots of land. I said, sir, no, I can't sell for that 650.
Your lion heart was speaking now.
But on my mind, I was saying, if this man doesn't budge after some days, I'm going to call him back. So he said, okay, send the account details. I said, no problem. Instantly, he dropped the call. I forwarded the account details to him. He sent me his sister's number. So I saved the sister's number on my phone. And I saw the picture. I screamed. It was an old friend that no, but why the name didn't ring bell was she was she was single when we met. She was very former water. But the husband, she's not married, and the husband. So I quickly called her. I said, "See, somebody to be sure." He said, "Yes, my brother. It's not that he has called. He called
3 years after.
I gave him your number since 2017.
3 years after.
I said, okay. He said, we've discussed. He said, and one of the shocking things that the man said was this. He said, my sister told me that even if you eat my money, that she will refund me.
Come on.
That was someone taking her life for me.
She could vouch for you because you have shown integrity.
Yes. I've shown her integrity now.
You know, in business, rectitude and honesty is a huge currency. Most of you are crying about capital, where you eat you can smoke anything you see. You've eaten your capital in people's hands. I mean, you couldn't just be sincere. This was somebody's taking her life
for me. So immediately, before the end of the day, I got an alert. But the man paid for the 5 plots of land outright. Instantly.
That's 4 million naira.
4 million naira. No, what he paid was 900. 9 times was 4.5
4.5 million naira.
I called my wife. I said, see you, look at this thing very well. Let me not be sure my eyes is deceiving
4.5 million.
And she looked at it and we screamed, we were excited. Instantly, I called the family. I said, let's sign our MOU. Let me get my lawyer to prepare. He said, Chris. I said, don't worry. Send me account detail. I quickly transferred the 4.5 million straight to the family.
Wait. This was COVID.
Yeah.
People were looking for money to survive. You were apparently broke. I don't need to ask you that. And you were still more interested in keeping your word.
Yeah.
I remember a video that I saw of Mr. Cosmos Maduka Koscharis. He said that his first breakthrough on open door with the Japanese was because he was a man of integrity. And the Japanese believe that instead of not keeping your word, kill yourself. You should better commit suicide than faltering on your deadlines in business. And one thing I've seen going for you is that you keep your words. Even when you are having it here, you keep your word.
Yeah.
This is massive, very, very massive.
And why I had to do that was, number one, a lady has taken her life from me. And it has always been my system. Now, the family, if let's assume I spend the money and not pay the family, there will be no land for the man. So I had to pay. I paid them. My wife, women trust them. I had to. I transferred the 4.5 million immediately to them.
Women are wonderful people.
We didn't want that.
They have this survival instinct. They also want to play it safe.
Yeah. So I did that to them, and the next few days we signed the MOU. Now came to fast forwarded down to 2021. Now immediately we signed the MOU and all that. I went straight to the government to register it, because that's one thing I do. All of our estates presently are registered with Delta State Ministry of Lands and Survey.
There's the ones in Delta State.
Yes,
on that town planning.
Yes, every of our whole state will register under town planning and urban development. We register the estate. They give us the layout. They approve it themselves and they do it. So I always like following the due process. That I learned from my boss that taught me real estate. So immediately I did that. By December, our documents came out. We plotted the estate in January 2021. Then by February, we did our groundbreaking ceremony in February. Now, before we did that groundbreaking ceremony, during that 2021, towards the tail end of 2021, immediately after COVID, the lockdown was lifted, people went back to work. I did an advert because I realized something. Selling real estate, there must be a foot soldier, realtors, going to do the job. In as much as we do billboard, radio adverts, they don't bring clients. They don't. There must be someone that must interface.
Putting a face to the advert.
Yeah. So I remember we did our first advert. I spent close to 25,000
on radio.
And it was massive. We had 40 persons in attendance.
Okay, you were calling for realtors.
For realtors. And I did trainings. I prepared that day. Did a lot of trainings. And at the end of the training, not one person signed up. Very devastating. Not one. Out of 40 persons in attendance.
If you don't have a big heart, don't go into business. Like a Chinese man will say, if you cannot smile, don't open a shop. You know, most of you who think that you want to fire your boss, you want to be on your own, start your own thing. Do you have the heart of a lion? Can you face disappointment and failure without bulging? So how did you move on from there?
I had to go again.
And you gave them refreshment, I guess.
I gave them refreshment, obviously, and they ate for free and left. We did the second time. I did the second time. In fact, my secretary, I remember after the first time, she felt so bad for me. She came and said, "Oga, what do we do now? What are we going to do?" I said, "We'll do it again.
We'll do it again."
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
We did this time. With the whole calls, we had close to about 50, 60 persons that indicated interest. We sent text messages to them, gave them training codes and all that. That the only 10 showed up. You call us and say, "Hey, I forgot. I didn't remember." That's why I tell people there is no unemployment in Nigeria. The truth is people are not ready to work. That's the truth.
Now you can argue with that all you want, but if you meet those of us who are on the street who are doing business, we can give you statistics. We have many people who want to look dandy and clean. They're not ready to have their hands dirty. Many of them. Yes, the economy is bad. People are getting by all the same. That's the truth.
Yeah. So after the training of that 10 persons, guess what? That was a hit. 5 persons out of 10 registered.
Wait, the first one, 40 nobody registered. The second one, 10 people, 5 registered.
And this was the team we kickstarted.
So imagine if you had this day, just walked into the hall, no, I can't do this again. I can't do this again.
It was about 50 persons that we sent text messages to attend that day. In fact, I already saw it when I was coming. I saw it on the face of my secretary. She was already discouraged. Out of 50, only 10 people showed up.
And you still walked in?
I walked in and I did what I was supposed to do.
Now tell me who is the boss. It's not the big chairs, swinging chairs that make the boss. It's the hearts, really. Yes.
And immediately we were done with that. We're shocked. He said, "Oga, they're registered, 5 persons." He said, "Fine, we'll start with them." I called those 5 persons the next Saturday. I did induction for them. And we started the business. Just myself, my secretary.
This was in 2021?
This is in 2021.
Before the groundbreaking in 2022?
Yes, before the groundbreaking in 2022. So immediately after the groundbreaking ceremony, everywhere opened up. Because by then we went on air, we did advert, and that during the groundbreaking now, those that bought properties from us, like some of the clients that paid us previously, like the man that bought 5 plots, and some other persons, we gave them allocation that day. And one other beauty, or one of the things we enjoyed that day, was the presence of my senior pastor, Pastor Chris Israel Waka. I told him that you want to do a groundbreaking, I want you to do it. I was shocked that day he came. And immediately he did the groundbreaking and all that. One of our realtors that they posted on his status update of the groundbreaking. And one of his friends called him, he said, "This man that did this groundbreaking ceremony is my neighbor in Abuja. It's just friends that is marketing both of us. Because of this man, I want to buy in the estate." We did the groundbreaking on Saturday. By Monday, money started coming in. People started paying. It was as if the estate, it was as if a veil
was lifted
off.
See, I don't care how smart or connected you are. I said it in the video I'm talking about, in the video about relationship. There are realms of help you cannot access except based on what somebody else has done. No matter how smart you are. David said, "Is there anybody in the house of Saul that I can help for the sake of Jonathan?" So here was Mephibosheth, a man lame in his legs, sitting at the royal palace, eating on the king's dining table. Why? Because of the goodwill of a man, although dead. Yeah. There has to be somebody who has done something that you're going to walk into the account. And I asked you this question like I asked before. What are you doing for your children? Are you squandering their goodwill? Are you eating up their future? Are you being a fool? Are you forgetting that you have children? There's always somebody who has done something you're going to walk into that goodwill. So this was one man's face.
One man's face.
Selling your estate.
Selling our estate.
So you were leveraging his goodwill.
His goodwill. And
just the mumu. The mumu.
They play.
Somebody says they play. I didn't believe I have to say that word, but just they play. You don't have anybody you honor, nobody you respect. You are just fooling around. If you see a man who has suffered for so long, it's not because the devil is after them. It's because they lack favor. And it's because they don't have anybody they honor. Because honor begets favor.
Yeah.
That's the truth. There has to be somebody you honor. Some of you are just too proud, no sense. So much pride, no sense. You can't greet people. There's no... Oh, let me not take over this show, please, Mr.
So we started selling and all that. Immediately after that, from 5 realtors, we had additional 35. A lot of persons started signing up with little. In fact, the efforts we put was not as much as we did previously.
So at this point, had you paid up the family?
Now, at this point, the family, we signed an MOU. And the MOU was to pay the family from February till October, within 10 months, on 2 million naira every month.
To offset the balance,
of the deal. I told my wife I was in for it. It was a bit difficult starting up, but I told her we could do it. And as payments were coming, as at August 2022, we've already finished payments.
So you paid them up in advance?
We paid them up in advance before the expiration of our agreed period. Paid them off. So we knew as the monies were coming in, we were just pushing it to them. Just pushing it to them. Even part of their development levy, we've started paying already as well too.
At the time?
At the time, yeah. So everything just turned around. From 5, we moved to 35 realtors. Now in August, we needed to expand. I remember I traveled to Lagos immediately after because one of my guests in the groundbreaking ceremony was the GMD of Revolution Plus Property, Pamidilo Nalaja. So I was with him in Lagos in May. He said, Chris, do you have an office in Asaba? I said, no. He said, why? I said, we have in Onitsha. Onitsha is a commercial houses. He said, no. Open a branch in Asaba and do it fast. That was in May. I came back to Asaba in June after my studies in Lagos then. By August, we opened an office in Asaba here. Now our staff strength increased from just me and my secretary to 8 additional staffs with us. And we have about 35 new realtors added to the ones we have before. And presently now we have acquired another estate, which is our newest baby, Dominion Gardens Estate.
Wait, there's one you said that the family gave you a very crazy target.
That's where I'm going to. Dominion Garden Estate. When we got to the land, we saw the place, we liked it. The family said we'll do 20 million.
Down payment
before we signed MOU. And as at when they were saying that, I said no problem, we deal. As at when we were saying I had just 500,000
in my account. I can guess.
I got back home, I sat down, I went to my drawing board. I came up with, Nigerians will like crazy offers. Came up with crazy offers for Nigerians. A pre-launch promo. Selling almost the price we got it. Now I came up with an offer that if you buy 3 plots from us, we'll give you 1 plot for free. And boom, people started. Within 1 month, we raised 30 million. I gave the family 30 million.
What they asked for was 20 million.
What they asked for was 20. I gave them 30 on the 11th of December.
Somebody say integrity.
Gave them 30. We signed the MOU. We finished signing, and in fact, we signed the MOU around 12 noon. By 12:31, started receiving alerts of debit because they were not actually sure.
I want to be sure if this guy
if the money
was going to give us a dumb check or something.
Will go through. But none of the check returned. They cleared their monies. And now this estate is 3 times the size of City of David, sitting on 15.37 hectares of land. And also, within the year 2022, we signed an MOU with a family in Ibenta, in Ohuku local government, with the community of a rice farm.
So you are now going into agriculture?
Into agriculture, yes. Of a rice farm sitting on 50 hectares of land. By February, March this year, we'll kickstart the rice production. Then also, if you remembered when the first business I did was a finance firm.
Yeah.
Presently, we're also running it, and it's being handled by my wife as well.
Oh, tell me, she used to be a banker.
She used to be a banker.
She resigned.
Yeah.
To join the crazy husband. See, when your wife resigns her job to join you, you know you are succeeding.
So all through,
Whew.
has just been faithful and
So
awesome.
what I'm saying is that God took you through every road to prepare you for everything He wanted you to do.
Sure.
I don't care what you're going through. You should just be taking notes. Do you have pictures when you were carrying blocks at the construction site?
I'm not a picture person.
Same. If you are suffering now, just take pictures. I'll have you on my show. And I want those pictures. Because life will change. The Bible says if you see a man who is diligent in his work, he will stand before kings, not before men and mere men. So diligence is always the link. And hope is always the anchor that holds you from sleeping. Now, don't get me wrong. Life can be crazy. Life can hit you below the belt. I've been through worse. I've sold cars. I've disposed properties to pursue visions. But hope is always one thing. There's always something you should keep up. There's a psychotherapist in America that said that. I've forgotten her name. I will get her name and put it somewhere. And she wrote a book with Jonathan Evans about faith and therapy. You need to have hope, something that you're looking forward to. Because without hope, despair and depression will just be your next door neighbor. Hope for something that you're looking forward to. Yes. So, Mr. Chris, I know we can extract 2 books from your story. But if you had to put everything together in one sentence, what will you tell somebody who is going through their own hard knocks?
Okay. What I would tell them is this. Despise not the days of little beginning. It is only a graveyard that you start digging from the top. Anything that you must build that must last must start small. And that is what we lack in our present day generation. Please and please, whatever it is that you're doing now, don't let that big picture out of your sight, because that is what will keep you going despite the challenges and the odds, because that has been what has kept me going and is still keeping me going till date.
Guys, you want to buy any property, you know where to go. I'm not selling anything, I'm not advertising anything, but you know where to go. Somebody who will not eat your money, who will pay the family, and who will do their due diligence. Of course, you can reach Mr. Chris Amodi. We have his handles on the screen right now, and you can reach out to us if you have a story, you want to be part of what he's doing. If you want to be part of what we are doing, you can reach out to us. There are ways you can partner with us and get this show to hit people's ears. Now, this is ministry. There are people who need this show to get ahead. There's somebody who will listen to his story and will get his rope off the ceiling and will not commit suicide. And if you're depressed and destitute, if you're going through a hard time and you think you want to end it, please don't end it. Phone numbers on the screen, you can reach out to us. We have counselors, we have psychotherapists you can talk to. Life is worth living, because the best part of life is life itself. Till we meet you on the next show, this is still Dexter's Bridge Show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the subscription button now. Click it now. Yes, click it now. Then the next is to like this video. Yes, have you done that? Good. Then the next is to enable notifications so you know when the next big story drops. And if you have a good story, go to our website, dextersbridge.com, and drop your story. We want to hear that story. Till then, keep living an inspired life. God bless you.